Hey everyone, welcome to Bourbon Bytes. I'm Clifton, and today we're reviewing Bardstown Bourbon Company Discovery Series 5. Now, if you missed it, I reviewed the Fusion Series 5 in my last video, so I'll put a link to it up here if you want to go watch that. Super impressed with this year's release, so I'm excited to try Discovery Series 5. Series 4 from last year was probably one of my favorite whiskeys I tried all year. I went out and got a bottle as soon as I tried it, so I have high hopes for this year's release. So this year they blended 4 different bourbons for this release. So I'll put a chart up here of all the different ones that went into this whiskey. You will notice there is a pretty big difference compared to last year, and that's the inclusion of that Tennessee whiskey in there as well. Last year it was all Kentucky bourbon, and I think that may have been why I loved it so much. So we'll see. Y'all know I'm a little bit averse to some Tennessee notes, particularly from George Dickel. It is only 25% and it's a 12-year-old, so there's a chance that those notes that I don't particularly like about it won't show up, and they'll be, hidden by the amazing other Kentucky bourbons that are in here, because I'm seeing some very familiar mash bills, some that were there last year, but also one from probably one of my favorite distilleries. Not 100% confirmed, but I think there might be some Heaven Hill in this. We'll see. This year's release comes in at cask strength, which is 52.35% ABV, and retails for about $130. Let's go ahead and give it a nose. Oh, nice. There's a lot of fruit on this. I think it's got some banana notes, which is one of these mash bills is likely Barton, which is typical of their releases. But it does have some other fruits going on there as well. Maybe like a banana sundae with strawberries and cherries on top, and some whipped cream, of course, because it smells very creamy. Definitely some citrus there as well. Maybe even like an orange. I'm getting a lot of fruit on this one, which is a really good sign. I'm excited to see if that carries over to the palate as well. Now this is very contrasting to the Fusion Series 5, which I reviewed, like I said in a previous video. That one was super oak forward, which is typically what I look for in a bourbon, but sometimes I do appreciate the brighter, fruitier notes. And I think on the nose, this one's actually impressing me a lot. So let's go ahead and see how it tastes. Cheers, guys. Very, very different from last year. I think that the Tennessee whiskey does show up. I was reserving judgment on this until I tried it, because I know there's some mixed feelings about this year's release. I do think it has a lot of that Tennessee whiskey note. I consider it a minerality. It has almost like a chalky kind of texture to it. It's something that some people like myself are very sensitive to. So if we find it on a whiskey, we're pretty obvious. Yeah, we know where that whiskey came from. It's a distillery in Tennessee. But I don't think, like I said, I'm pretty sensitive to that note. I don't think it completely negates the other whiskeys that are in here. Like I said, that's only 25% of that, but that means there's 75% of other Kentucky bourbons as well. Now, one of these is a 13-year, and there's a 6-year and a 7-year, so pretty young. Again, in contrast to the Kentucky bourbon that's in the Fusion Series 5, which is an older, I think that's an 11-year Kentucky bourbon. So this one, it's 7-year, 6-year, and 13-year. So yeah, I think the oak expresses itself in a different way than like a well-aged bourbon. To me, it's more of the toasty, the char, maybe a little bit of a toasted marshmallow kind of note. Less of the barrel influence and more of the toasty char influence on it. I'm getting a lot less of the strawberry or the red fruits. I'm definitely getting still a little bit of the banana, not nearly as much as I've had on other whiskeys. I would say that there is more orange presenting itself than on the nose. I got a little of the orange on the nose, but I think on the taste, it's definitely an orange zest. Now it is cask strength, although like I said, this is 52.35. Last year's release was 57.5, I believe. So it definitely was a higher proof on that one. I don't think I would think that this is a cask strength whiskey just based on, first impression. It's so close to a 100 proof whiskey that I would just assume that it's 100 proof. The more I drink it, the more I appreciate it. It's still not quite what I typically look for in a bourbon, which makes, rating this one difficult. At $130, that's up there in price. Y'all know I'm very hesitant to spend over $80 on a whiskey unless it blows me away. If you are someone that is 100% okay with a Tennessee whiskey kind of note, and those of you that have tried, Tennessee whiskey, you probably know what I'm talking about, that minerality. If you are okay with it, it doesn't bother you, you enjoy it, then I do recommend going out and giving this a try. I think it blends that well with the Kentucky bourbons. It's very balanced. However, if you're someone like me that doesn't particularly love a Tennessee whiskey from a place that rhymes with pickle, I would say give this a pass or give it a try at a bar. I don't recommend spending the $130 if you know you're not going to like that note. However, like I said, if you are a fan of that or it doesn't bother you, this is a super balanced, super interesting whiskey. I just don't think it's the whiskey for my palate. So let me know if you guys have tried this. Like I said, I reviewed the Fusion Series 5. Like I said, links up there. I'll put it at the end of the video as well. Definitely check out that review. Even if you think the Fusion Series is like, oh, it's young, I'll pass it up. This year's release really impressed me. So check that out for all of my tasting notes on that one. But until next time, this has been Bourbon Bytes Whiskey Reviews with the Gaming Twist. I'm Clifton. Cheers, and I'll see you guys next video.